Let me just start by saying that I'm really excited that there's so many people in here that value that second half of the talent pipeline, which is talent development, because as a leader of talent acquisition, it's really hard to hire people. So I need help keeping them when they get in the building. So I've really enjoyed hearing about people talk about talent development and training and development, because that's one of the key things that employees want today. They want to be developed and they want to have the opportunities to learn more and to do more, particularly the millennials. They're just hungry for that. And so part of what I'm going to share with you today is a little bit about our strategy on the talent acquisition side. So put yourself, we're going to kind of back up and put yourself on the front end of the pipeline. Attract, engage, close, and onboard. That's what I do. That's what I manage. And so we've gone through a journey as a company over the past couple of years where we've grown pretty quickly. We went public in 2010 and found ourselves competing for talent with large company brands. Big brands, we are not. How many people in here have heard of RealPage? Wow, so our 2 years have paid off. If you know who we are, that's exciting. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we did this, because it was not easy and it was all done through the talent acquisition team. So this is who people think we are. They think we're the Yellow Pages, and we're not. They think we're a paging company. True story, people still think they're our pagers, because they will come into interviews and they think we're a paging company. So this is what we were up against. We were competing for talent against big companies for technology talent to boot, against companies like Dell, who everybody knows who Dell is, right? And everyone inside of our industry knows who we are, right? But outside of our industry, nobody had a clue who we are. So that's what we were competing against. We didn't have a fancy schmancy consumer brand, and we certainly didn't have a marketing team that really was able to help us, because we didn't have money to go hire somebody to help us do this, right? So who is RealPage? I'm going to tell you a little bit about that just to get us started, right? So RealPage is a SaaS solutions provider. We develop and design and implement and sell software solutions for the rental housing software industry. So if you think about what happens behind the scenes of an apartment complex, that's who we are. So our product, the interesting thing about our brand is that everyone can resonate with who we are, because people are renters, they were renter, or they know a renter, right? So really it should be easy to tell our story and to explain to the talent audience out there who we are, because everybody can kind of understand that, right? And so we took a step back, right? Okay, so what do we need to tell people about us? The software programs that help apartment managers run their properties, that's what our software does. And there's a lot that happens behind the scenes of an apartment complex, okay? Student living. Who manages the dormitories? Who manages the move-ins and the move-outs and all the transactions that happen on a campus? Who manages senior living facilities? Move-ins and move-outs. It's the same or similar transaction. And we've recently moved into the rental housing space with vacation rentals, okay? So people can resonate with what we do. We need to get the story out there and make sure that the people in the talent communities that we're going after can very clearly understand what we do and why they would want to consider us as an employer of choice. So we went through a journey, and I'm going to tell you how we went through the journey, because I've sat through numerous presentations of people talking about the cool things that they've done, but really no real hard takeaways that I could go back and go do. So I'm going to tell you exactly what we did to build our talent brand. But first I'm going to tell you that as we went through this exercise, really wanted to land on something that we could kind of anchor our messaging on. And we found that the word activate really spoke to us. So we went through the exercise of identifying who our target audiences were, right? So if we looked collectively, all the people that we're recruiting, what do they look like? What are their drivers? What are their motivators? And of course, we interview people all the time. So we have this information right here as recruiters in our heads. So we uncovered 5 target audiences. And then from there, we went through and almost created people from them. We actually personified our audience targets so that we actually had somebody that we could pretend to market to as we built our messaging, okay? And so We identified 5. We also then identified value propositions. Recruiting became, actually we have always been a sales function, but we started acting and behaving like a sales function, right? Recruiting is marketing. So we identified value propositions that we felt differentiated ourselves from the competition. And keep in mind, competition is not other companies always. People choose to go work for themselves. They choose to go work for another person. They choose not to work. So they have a lot of choices out there of where they're going to go work. And so we uncovered what we believe are key differentiators for us in the communities where we operate. And the recruiters then had real anchor phrases and propositions that they could use when they were recruiting talent to our companies. So everybody wants stability. Well, housing, it's a human need. We're not going to go anywhere. So what we do is provide stability. Property management companies are not going to go backwards in how they're managing their properties. They're at least going to sustain. RealPage we are the leader. We have the whole ecosystem at the top of our mind when we're building our products and services, all the way down from the renter to the owner to the suppliers of those properties to the real estate investment companies that might invest in those properties. So we've done a great job of positioning ourselves as the leader in our space. It's never boring. Startup companies and SaaS companies are never boring. Technology changes all the time. There's always something new and fun happening in the 95-mile-an-hour environment that we work in. We give back to our communities, super important for the millennials, and we offer a lot of learning and development. And a lot of that is hands-on, on-the-job, real work, which is what people want. They don't want to sit in classrooms all the time to get their learning and development. So we captured those things, and then we really trained the recruiters as well as the managers, who also own a responsibility in recruiting and selling the opportunity and experience of working at RealPage. So we've kind of taken this inside the building too, and have really educated the managers on what it takes to recruit talent today. So the recruiting team also had to get out of their comfort zone, because recruiters do not normally think of themselves as marketers, right? Except for marketing was so focused on product during our hyper growth, they didn't have anybody to help us. And none of the marketing materials that they created were to our target audience. In fact, quite frankly, they didn't really even understand our audience at all. The things that they would come back to us with were kind of boring and kind of, old, boring corporate, look and feel. And here we are, a technology company trying to recruit hip and trendy software engineers. So we had to really step in and take this over for ourselves, because also with social recruiting and digital marketing, you got to put something out there every day. I can't wait around for 6 or 8 weeks for marketing to produce something for us. So we figured out how to do it. We started monitoring what other companies were doing, and we started figuring out how we were going to do it ourselves. And so we did that. Anything on the LinkedIn page for RealPage, that's the recruitment team. Marketing does not do any of that work. And we're really proud of that, because LinkedIn is about talent brand, right? So we're excited about the work that we're doing out there. Same thing with Facebook. Facebook for us is really more of an internal employee engagement tool to help spin up some excitement around what's happening inside our culture. And then, of course, Glassdoor. We changed our LinkedIn in-mails to include more of our value propositions and the way that we were selling the opportunity to come to work for us. And same thing with Twitter. So we're leveraging all of the social sites that big brand companies are using too. The biggest transformation that we did, and this is probably one of the best transformations that we had, is I completely changed the recruiter scorecard. So 2 and 3 years ago, we knew social recruiting was coming, right? LinkedIn was there, Facebook was there, and recruiters, were kind of interested in it, but they weren't spending any time on it, right? It got the leftover time because they didn't feel that they got recognized for the work that they did out there. So I changed the scorecard altogether, because this is how important it was for us to build our brand. Now, what we would call the traditional scorecard recruiting metrics are 40% of their overall performance. 35% were their efforts towards our strategy and moving our strategy forward, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And then lastly, personal development, right? I have a team of high performers. I have a team of people who constantly want more projects, and don't tell them this, but I always make this comment. that I need to feed the beasts. Whatever work I get that comes my way or anything that I spot that needs to get done, we will gladly take it and somebody on my team will run with it. And so for them, this is personal development, right? So this is my retention strategy for the recruiters that I'm getting in the door and training, and they're mastering our talent brand. So let's go back to the 35%, because this is really, I think, where we really made the biggest impact. So we still measured metrics, okay? Metrics are important. The business likes metrics. We still measured time to fill. We still measured acceptance rate. We measured referral source. We measured how many jobs people filled, whether or not they were compliant with our processes, and manager satisfaction, right? Traditional scorecard metrics, we measured all those things too, because again, recruiters are salespeople. They want to see how they're performing. We want to know our time to fill. We want to know where our people are coming from. So we still measure all of those things. But what I implemented last year were called strategy teams. And these strategy teams were what moved the business forward. And every recruiter was a part of the strategy team. One strategy team was part of building the brand. How do we build the brand? How do we craft our messaging? How do we get that out there and be consistent across all the platforms with how we're marketing ourselves? The second team took us digital. We figured out how to be on Facebook and how to be on Twitter, and what all the companies were doing that we admired, right? So they started following those companies and kind of, again, figuring out how to get it done. And then we have a team that built the pipeline. So we have 5 target audiences. We know exactly the kind of people we need to hire every single month. We know what's coming, right? It's just which technology this time, Java or .NET, right? So we knew that we needed to build a pipeline, and then we started focusing on colleges, right? Because I know somebody mentioned it earlier, we really need people from the STEM colleges. We need, and there's a shortage there for whatever, or at least that's what we're finding. And so we really started building our brand at the college level so that we could be recruiting for the future, right? So even though we may not hire these people today, we knew that we wanted those people in our pipeline so that we could go after them. Whoops, let me go back. So one of the other developmental triggers here was that I didn't lead any of these teams. I had a recruiter take the lead spot, getting development on leadership, getting development setting deliverables. They set the pace and deliverables. I did not set or make any decisions on these strategy teams, because I did not want them to come back and go, well, here's why I'm not making my time to fill, or here's why I'm not filling jobs, is I'm working on all this strategy stuff. So they set the pace. They set their end goal. I didn't do any of that, and they had to own it all. And they actually loved it. They didn't want me in their business anyway, right? This is a cool, fun project, and they don't want, Mama Bear in their business. And so they thrived. They loved it. And it created healthy competition too, because every quarter they would present to their peers the progress that they had made on their strategy team. It taught them presentation skills, how to build a PowerPoint, how to present to their peers, how to present to leaders above them. So we got development all the way around with these strategy teams, and we're doing it again this year. It also caused them to all work together, because believe it or not, every strategy team at some point intersects, right? Whatever people are doing on the social, digital team, was fed from the employment brand team, and whatever they were doing was working in conjunction with the colleges when we would go out to those college events. So everyone literally at some point worked together, so it caused a lot of cross-functional teamwork across our teams too. So, and then I talked about personal development. One of the things that we did that was kind of fun was we had everybody take the Strength Finders book and read the Strength Finders book. And so now we know what everybody's strengths are, and we leveraged what we learned about each other to build our strategy teams for this year. So we knew who the executors were, we knew who our creative people were, and that's how we formed our strategy teams for 2014. We invested a little bit, right? We don't have a lot of money, right? We invested a little bit in Work With Us ads on LinkedIn, and look what happened in 12 months. Our total followers grew by 153%. We have over 21,000 followers on LinkedIn today through all of our talent brand efforts. Our talent brand engagement grew by 92%. And what this means is out of the people who know about us on LinkedIn, how many of them are liking, following, sharing other people in the company? What are they doing out there to engage with us? Are applying for jobs? They're somehow, some way engaging with us on LinkedIn. And then our talent brand index rose by 18%. So that means that more people that are out on the LinkedIn database know who we are now. So that's pretty exciting, pretty awesome stats, especially when you compare to the average that LinkedIn sees. We built a content calendar, right? So how do you forecast what you're going to put on the social sites? It's a lot of pressure to not have something planned, because what'll happen is the whole day will go by and then nothing will get posted, right? So we plan it out. We plan it out. Images and everything. The recruiting team does that. We created an internal campaign called I Activated My Potential campaign to drive the excitement around our new employer brand. Our tagline is Activate Your Potential, right? Which is kind of fitting because we're a software company. We don't make money until we activate the software either. So I just thought that was a little bit cool that it could be used across the company if they want it. But it created buzz. We had employees self-submitting these photos, and now we're leveraging them by posting them on Facebook to just continue to drive traffic to our Facebook page to showcase our career. So it's pretty exciting to see. So far this year, we've seen an increase, 292% in the people that are liking our RealPage Careers Facebook page, all driven from recruitment. In fact, marketing now wants access to my pages, because I drive more traffic to our website than the product teams now. So I'm excited about that. We still fill jobs. I know you guys are thinking, well, how'd you do that? How did you fill jobs, right? We still fill jobs. On average, we filled 4.5 jobs every single day. Our average time to fill was 38 days. It stayed the same from 2012. It didn't change. So we were still getting it done. We were still recruiting people, and we were still hiring people, but man, we were closing them now too. 95% acceptance rate on our offers. Awesome. In technology, especially when we're competing with some big companies, that is awesome. I am super proud of that, right? Because recruiting is sales, right? We're salespeople. We want to measure the people that we work hard to get in the door. We want to close them. Our employee referrals increased to 39%, which is pretty strong, right? We were around 27, 28% in 2012. We lifted to 39% in 2013. And our managers were really happy. They actually had more confidence when they interviewed now, because they now know that they have a responsibility to also sell the opportunity and experience of working for RealPage, but they also now understand that they also, as a manager, have a value proposition. Why do people want to come work for you? Why do they want to leave where they are to come and work for you, right? We had to teach them the whole concept of passive talent. They had no idea what that meant. And that completely changes how you interview and hire, right? That whole process changes when you're recruiting passive talent. So my takeaways are to know your audience. If you've not identified and figured out who your audience is, go back to Marketing 101 and map it out. It took about 3 days for us to really sit back and do this. And we used real people in the building, right, to uncover who they were, what they look like, where they come from. Do they coach baseball teams, right? What do they look like? What are their drivers? So go take that time to figure that out. It really doesn't take that long, but it's really, really important. Know what you're selling, right? Who wants to go buy something from a salesperson that doesn't know their product? Recruiting is the same thing, right? You wouldn't jump out of an airplane if you didn't have confidence in the people that you were with, right? Know what you're selling. Have that mapped out. In fact, I would tell the recruiters to write out all their value propositions and type it out. The person on the phone screen doesn't know that you're reading it from a script. Until you can memorize it, map it out, put it out there for yourselves. And then to know your outlets, right? Know all the places that you can go to get help to hire talent today. Managers are an outlet. They have a LinkedIn network. I can't tell you how many times we go into their office and I'll say, pull up your LinkedIn. You have an opening? Let's see who you know right now. Let's do it together. Or I'll bring in my laptop and I'll go, there's 10 Scala developers in Dallas. Are you sure you really want a Scala developer, right? Do you want to hire them here? Or maybe we should go hire them in San Francisco because that's where there's a larger population. It's become, a really insightful way to get them involved and more included in helping us sell the talent brand because they understand the importance of it. And that's my talent brand story.